Let's look at something as simple as a to-do app. Have you ever wondered how do we now bring agentic AI into something like this? So my answer is very simple. I have my copilot and I can ask the copilot, give me the items which are due July 2nd. And then actually I don't even need to be on this page and the copilot answers me and it brings me these two items. Or I can say, add a new to-do to write a video script by this Friday. And you see the chatbot has actually entered it here. And I can even ask it to write a description there to make it about agentic AI. And it's a very nice and easy way to interact. So you see it was eager and it even made me much more than I told it to do. So if you want to learn how to do such applications, the good news is that in the age of agentic AI, you can do this without knowing how to code. Welcome back to the MeshWeaver channel. My name is Roland and I'm going to show you today how you can combine traditional applications such as this to-do application with agentic AI. So let's learn how to set up the MeshWeaver solution. So if you follow this blog post, then it should be quite easy. You can have a step-by-step guide. So we have a few prerequisites. And if you go to the prerequisites, the most important one is that you have to download either just the .NET SDK or VSCode. So I recommend you to use VSCode. There are many other tools out there. You can use Cursor, you can use Windsurf. There are many tools, but see that you get one which has full agent integration. So you don't want to learn how to code. So see that you have agent integration. So I'm going to demo today VSCode. Maybe next time I will demo something else. So get it for Windows, Mac or Linux and install it. So here, this is then what it looks like when you open VSCode. So I have simply just created a small folder called MeshWeaver app, but it's completely empty for now. So we will then look in detail what all these menus mean. So for now, you don't have to mind it too much. And most importantly, up here is Copilot. And this is what you will mostly be using. So mostly you will be remote controlled by Copilot. So it also doesn't matter if you cannot code. So you have to be able to read code, not necessarily write code. It's a very different skill. Then you can hit Ctrl-J or get it from the menu. But so you get a terminal. So here I have PowerShell. It's also possible to enter other terminals. So I personally like to work in Bash, but it's up to your preference what you want. Now we have to go back to the blog post and get the install commands. So this command here, it installs us all the project templates of MeshWeaver. So let me just execute this here. So I can install all the project templates and then you see we have now received these project templates. And the most important one is this MeshWeaver solution. So now we can just say .NET new MeshWeaver solution, and it should actually now create us the MeshWeaver solution, and we should be almost good to go. So now if we look here in the Explorer, we see it has created us a number of projects here. And so we see now that so this is the solution file. So this is the whole thing. And then it has actually created us 4 projects. One is the portal. Portal is kind of the shell. This is where the menus live, where the layouts live. This is where you would put your corporate identity, whatever you have. So I give you the plain vanilla MeshWeaver styling, but obviously there you could inject your company styling. Then this is the actual to-do app. We will look at it in a minute, what's in there. Then we have the AI part. So this is how to connect to the agentic AI. And then last but not least, here is a test project. And in the test project, I show you how you can test your code. Now, in order to finalize our setup, let's look at the portal, and this is one of the files that you get by default when it comes. And you see here we need to actually set up now the rest of the AI. And so I advise you not actually to run a local model or something, because it's a lot of hassle and it's not very fruitful. So now there is something from GitHub Copilot, and so it's this URL here. So if you give this URL, you can essentially then choose any of the GitHub Copilot models. If you don't have a GitHub Copilot subscription, get one for free. Just to look at this demo, and already with a free subscription there are quite a few things you can do. If you then notice that it's useful for you, then get yourself one of the paid subscriptions, but for just following my demo, the free subscription is good enough. But you see here we still don't have an API key, so for this please go to GitHub, and then you go to your own user, you go to settings, and then you go to developer settings. It's the very bottom menu here. And when you are in developer settings, you go to personal access tokens and then fine-grained tokens. It's all described in the blog, so just read the blog in peace and quiet, and then you can just go and use it. Then you generate a new token. So as you see, it wants my passkey now. So let me grin into the computer. It recognized me, thank you. So now I get into this thing. So here I can just say this is demo, GitHub key. You can also add a description. But the most important is now that we choose as the permissions, and it's this kind of models permission here. So just say that you want read-only access. So this, what it allows you to do is, given you have a GitHub Copilot account, and they are free, just get yourself GitHub Copilot. And then when you actually give this read-only access to the models, then you will have access to the GitHub Copilot models here, and the GitHub Copilot will allow you to generate this. Okay, so now I generate the token. I'm going to delete this, so it's not actually a leak here that you see. So by the time you watch this video, the token will no longer be valid. And now you see, I come back to Visual Studio. Now I hit this magic command sequence, Ctrl-Shift-P. It's a universal shortcut which brings you, like anything you can do in VS Code, I can just type it. And you see now the first item that comes here, I could also just type user secrets. So this is a .NET feature which allows me to add secret values. But I advise you actually to put it in the secrets, and then you have to choose this key here, and then this is just pasted from the GitHub portal. Normally you must not leak these keys, obviously, but I swear I'm going to delete this right after we end filming this, so I'm also allowing myself to leak it for this demo. And so let's just try to run it. Yes, now it doesn't recognize me that I have a new solution. This is a bug in Visual Studio or a non-niceness. So what you can do is just say reload Windows. You could also just exit Visual Studio Code, enter it again. So now I hit this run and debug again. I hit C#. Now I say launch startup project MeshWeaver app, MeshWeaver portal. Now it's compiling everything, it's starting everything. And now it pops me a browser, and it goes to this website, and here you have the start screen. And now let's just see that the whole app is more or less working. So you can go to the to-dos, and then you should see these sample to-dos in there. And similarly, if you hit the chat button, now we should be able to say hi to the system, and then the system should respond back to us. So now we are good to go, we are set up, so let's explore the app a little bit. So first of all, there are these two menus. So the lower one we don't look at today, but the upper one is the to-do menu. So these menus are fully configurable, and this one is just the one that I configured for this test app. But obviously this should then grow or be modified according to whichever content you have. So we can look into menu design a bit later. And then we get to this kind of first overview page. So this actually I have vibe coded this. So it's actually what came out from Claude without me giving much input. So you see also that Claude puts me this kind of icons here everywhere, which I kind of like, and it puts me icons in the buttons and everywhere. And actually the only thing it did was it had a bit of a Christmas tree layout. So it put just the buttons at the end of these items, and because the items vary in length, the buttons were shifted. So what I then did, because I think it's also good to present our views in a good way, and as a software professional, I felt bad with something where the layout looked like a Christmas tree. So I just kind of added two, three more prompts to tell it to create me a good layout. So as you see at the end, it still had this button here, and which, you know, if we are strict, it should also be aligned. But it was just where I then stopped iterating. You also always want to have these layouts responsive. Responsive means that the majority of people is probably not going to look at your site on a computer, but it could be, for instance, a phone. So, and this is an advice to you, because you see all these UIs and all this functionality gets completely commoditized now with AI. So the presentation always becomes more and more important. And so what you should always do when you make this smaller, actually the page, I'm not sure if you noticed this, but now actually the buttons take more space relative to the rest of the content. And if I further decrease the page, you see at some point the buttons even start to go below. So this is called responsive design, that depending on how wide I make this, the page reacts, and usually you try to make this look good in kind of any kind of styling that you may have. It's something that may look a bit scary at the beginning, but the more you get used to UI design and the like, and also you care about such presentations, the more naturally you will do it. And actually now with a vibe coding, you can just tell the AI model to just do it for you, and it will do it. I can recommend you a couple of very good books to get into this. So one that I enjoyed very much is called Designing with the Mind in Mind. And this is a book that also highlights a lot of psychology, how we perceive things, how we look at things, how you can make things stick out in the UI, or how you can place functionality in an intuitive way. Another book that I enjoyed very much is called Don't Make Me Think. So they are both a bit older. They are from the times when I actually read up on these topics. I'm sure there are newer books, but it's very good if you just go and make yourself a little bit of an idea on how to design such UIs. This is actually another cliche I want to demystify. It's that I often see, especially when I tell to people, and you have to use something like VSCode, then they get overwhelmed with all the stuff. Actually, I can make all this stuff go away, then it looks already much less scary. But they are usually scared by the layout. So what I tell them is just lose the fear. Then they ask me, do I have to learn C#? No, you don't. You don't. Do I have to learn Python? No, you don't. So we are in times where we let the agents program. So normally this is the view that I look at. It's the copilot view. And in here I write English text. You can also write your mother tongue. To me, you know, you always say you keep speaking with a person in the way you started speaking. I'm used to speaking about my profession in English, so I also speak to Copilot in English. But normally here I enter English text, and then it starts actually creating me all this code here. And this is also why you need a tool like this. There are also now more modern generation of tools, so I'm going to probably try it out, and maybe next time I'm gonna show you something without all this stuff here, because if I anyway just let Copilot do the work and I don't do it, then I may not even have to see this. So for someone like me, it's still a bit, comforting me, because I can still kind of relate to my old world. But maybe if you are new to this and you don't care so much about the code anyway, maybe really one of these new tools like Claude Code or other tools which work just purely in the shell, maybe this is your type of thing, and then you just interact with English language. I still think you need some kind of passive knowledge how to read this. But again, the passive knowledge, it's not so much. I'm showing you now the most complicated bit of code that you will see in this demo, which is essentially where this view is built. But you see, even if you have never programmed in your life, you will be able to kind of follow it. So maybe you have noticed already this kind of notation. So this is Markdown. Markdown is a typesetting language, and it's the typesetting language of the internet. So Markdown is definitely something where you should have at least a passive knowledge. For instance, this 2# thing here, it means that it's some kind of title, or 2 stars means it's boldface. So again, you can use Claude to write this. So I didn't write any of this. Claude wrote all of it, but I can immediately understand, oh, now it put me here a boldface, it put me here a title. Then you can even inline all these icons, right? So you see, it's really very WYSIWYG. And then you see, even if you can't program, even if you have never programmed in your life, you will understand that more or less what this is doing is it just creates you Markdown, and then this Markdown is eventually shown in the GUI on this page here. And we could now go and identify this is a title now. This was one of these title sections. And then all this it's all Markdown, and just the buttons, they are not Markdown, because here we need to kind of interact with the application. But it's more or less just a Markdown generator. And this is also what I advise to you out there. Just skip everything. Don't bother about, learning HTML or learning any of this stuff. With Markdown, you get very, very, very far. So let's now come to the last bit of the demo, where we look at the chat. This chat, it's really a blessing for all the business apps we have. So first of all, you notice that I'm just emulating GitHub Copilot here. I can also get a manual from this. So this is all self-explaining. What can you do? And then I can just skip the manual. It will tell me what I can do. And now, since I'm in a to-do app, I can, for instance, create a new to-do. So let me say, so create a new to-do for this Friday, that I should prepare a new video script. And so what this app is now doing is it just kind of remote controls me this facility. So I could have also now pressed the Add New To-Do button, but you see, so it has actually introduced it here, Prepare New Video Script, and the date is July 4th, which is actually this Friday. So I can now also ask it to change description to say that it should be around agentic AI. And now you see it has also updated me this description. Or I can ask it, give me all items which are due July 2nd. And then I get the 2 out. So also here visually you see it's those 2 that I get out. So we will see now in this whole series how we can achieve such interaction with chatbots. And this is also the topic, it's the biggest topic. So of course I need to also teach you a little bit about how you architect such a system in general, so that we can then understand how we put the chat on top. But the end goal is essentially that here you have the ultimate knowledge system where you can ultimately steer your your whole application. You have the user manual, you have everything, and you can essentially just forget about this kind of classical UI. I mean, here the UI is rather benign, but in a more complex setting, you may have thousands of reports and you may not know how to navigate, and the chat essentially gets rid of all these problems. So as promised, we will do 2 more parts of this to-do app. So the next part will be explaining the architecture first of the classical application, and then we will create another video where we explain how to put the chatbot on top. See you in the next videos. Happy weaving!